guys, welcome back to the vlog. So I have something, I want y'all to try to take a guess at what it is, okay? Can you hear that? Does anybody have a guess what that is? You want to tell them?
Yes, baby face number 2.
Rainey and Addison are pregnant with baby number 2. She went and got an ultrasound today and they recorded the baby's heartbeat and she put it in this little stuffed animal. And then she of course got some sonogram pictures. So we're so excited. So when is your due date, do you think?
February 2nd.
Yeah, so that's actually Isabel's birthday.
That's right.
Yeah. Good.
Wow, Brayton's born around your birthday. Addison and me can share a birthday. And Isabel and this baby can share a birthday.
Lots of birthdays. So we're excited. Anyways, we wanted to share that with y'all. But we're actually fixing to dive into today's vlog. So let's get going. Okay, so for today's vlog, we are going to do a sit-down chit-chat with myself and Rainey. And we are going to try our hardest to keep this very short and concise. Right?
Yeah, no long-winded.
Yeah, we're not going to be long-winded. But anyways, the topic of conversation for today was actually something that Rainey brought up, and she thought it would be a great vlog that might be of value to some of y'all. So tell us, what are we going to be talking about?
Mother and daughter-in-law relationships.
Yes, so Rainey and I have a great mother-in-law, daughter-in-law relationship. We always have. And you've had many friends mention it to you, and I've had many friends mention it to me. In fact, I ran into a friend the other day that I haven't seen in literally probably 4 or 5 years. She didn't even know that y'all had gotten married because she had gotten off of social media, and she asked me, she said, so what is your daughter-in-law like? No, she said, so what is it like having a daughter-in-law? That's got to be different. I was like, no, it's actually awesome. I said, we're like best friends. We see each other all the time. We talk all the time. And she was really like, what? Like y'all are like best friends? I said, yeah, it's awesome. She's like, oh my gosh, I hope I have that with, my future daughter-in-laws. So I feel like maybe we can offer just some
things we accidentally figured out.
Yes.
That we think are beneficial to the relationship that we have.
Yes. And so we're just going to dive right into it. I think we've got like 4 bullet points that we're just going to talk about. So let's get started. You ready? Say yeah.
Yeah.
So Rainey and I sat down, and like I said, we came up with 4 bullet points that we thought were very important in forming and creating a healthy mother-in-law, daughter-in-law relationship. So the first one Rainey actually came up with, and I thought it was really good, but it's being intentional from the very beginning. The second one is cut the apron strings. The third one is relatable, wife to wife. And the fourth one is remaining neutral. So we're just going to go through all of those bullet points, just kind of give both of our take and opinions and experiences, and hopefully it will be of value to you. Okay, so Rainey, so the first one is being intentional from the beginning. So you had some really great insight. So kind of take us through what that meant to you.
I feel like a lot of our relationship is the way it was is because Miss Ashley, from the time Addison had decided that he wanted to marry me, before then Miss Ashley kind of tried to get to know me as far as like who your son's dating. But when it came to the time where we were actually decided we were going to get married, thinking about when we were going to get engaged, Miss Ashley took a lot of intentional steps. My love language is quality time, and so Miss Ashley really catered to that. She invited me to pool days and to the gym, and Addison being there was never like a prerequisite for me being invited to anything. If Addison couldn't come, that was totally fine. I still got invited anyway. So I feel like that was just a lot of intentional effort put towards getting to know me and establishing a relationship outside from me being adjoined to Addison, just really from the get-go, not trying to do that when we got married, but from the time we had decided that we were going to pursue that route.
Yeah, and I think that that's very important is we had a lot of time before y'all actually got married and before you became a part of our family that we really knew each other very well before you got married. And I feel like it's kind of one of those things that you kind of treat as a marriage almost. Like, you don't go into a marriage not knowing how you're going to parent your kids or how many kids you want or who's going to work, who's not going to work. what your finances are going to look like. Like, those are all things that you want to discuss and kind of come to a mutual agreement before you get married, so that you don't enter into your first year of being married, which is already challenging in and of itself, and then you have all these huge issues to tackle. So I feel like that's kind of like was our relationship too, is before you became a part of our family, I knew you so well, and she knew us so well, and I think love language is a very big deal. I think that's, if you've never read The 5 Love Languages, I highly recommend that book. Stan and I did it when we were dating. And I remember talking on the phone when her and Addison were dating. Like, y'all had pretty much already decided y'all were going to marry each other. And we were talking about some challenges that y'all were having, because she's just a very open, very easy to, yeah, she's an open book, very easy to talk to. And I remember sitting in my closet because I was trying to get away from kids so that I could actually have a phone conversation. And I remember you saying, oh, I'm gonna cry. I remember you saying, like, I know Addison's love language is this, this, this. And I was just like so shocked that at I guess you were 17, 18, that you had already invested so much time and effort into Addison and knowing what his love language was. I was like, oh, she's good. She's smart, real smart. So knowing each other's love languages, even between this kind of relationship, is extremely beneficial. And let me just go ahead and remind you, we've got baby Brantley trying to take a nap, and he, I don't think, wants to take a nap.
We kept him up a little longer than he should have, so he's fighting it.
Yeah, so you might hear some fussing in the background, but he's totally fine. Number 2 is cut the apron strings. I didn't know of a better way to really label this one, but essentially it's saying, hey mama, it's time to let go and let your baby boy grow up and
be a man.
Be a man. Be a man. So yeah, so what are your takes on that?
I feel like that's one of the problems I've had, like, with a lot of my friends that have gotten married young, is they have a lot of mother-in-laws that are, oh, my baby boy, and just very attached and don't really let the wife have their new position that they have, where you're the most important woman in your son's life. Your son is a grown man, and his wife and him are not going to do everything perfectly. You're going to sit back and go, oh my goodness, that is not how you should be doing it. But it's also a new phase for them and a learning curve. And so for them to have space to do that without hearing all of the input and to say parenting, I feel like at this stage, once your kid gets married too, you're not really parenting anymore. You're more of a guider when your kids come to you and ask. It's just not the phase anymore to be telling them what to do, how to do. They're grown people now. If they can get married, they're good to be grown people. Right. And so it is a phase that's hard to just change your almost mindset and be a guider for when they come back to you, which I feel like we've really appreciated, is that we can go to Mr. Shane and Miss Ashley and we don't have to be parented and talked to about how we should and shouldn't do things, but we can go to them when we want to, and we can be guided when we're seeking guidance in all these new phases.
Yeah. Yeah, and I really love it because your whole relationship, I mean, y'all are adults now. Y'all are young adults, but y'all are adults now. And a lot of what y'all deal with in life, obviously, is exactly what Stan and I deal with life. You know, finances and kids and house payments and jobs and all of these things. And so you really, like, have this new level of connection almost, because you, like what you just said, we kind of take ourselves out of the parent mode of constantly needing to tell them how to do, what to do, when to do, did you do, but just sitting back and saying, hey, how's it going, you know, and you're like, well, we're struggling with this, what do y'all think we should do, and just offering guidance, like you said, and direction and accountability is really what the shift change in the relationship has been. And I really love it because while you still parent on some level, because Addison will always be our kid, no matter, you know, no matter his age, and you're always going to be your mom and daddy's little girl, no matter your age. But it definitely is different, and I really love it because it honestly is like we have a whole new set of friends almost, because we do so much together. if we're going to go out to eat, we're going to call and see if they want to go out to eat. If we're just hanging out at the house, and like last night we had leftover chicken wings, and we called and they came right on over, and we just sit and chit chat about life, and it's really awesome. And I love the fact that because we have built such a great foundation in what our relationship is, not only with Rainey but with Addison as well. They want to come around and they want to ask us for advice, and even if we give advice that might go against maybe what they were initially thinking, they respect us and we respect them, to just like leave it at that. Like, okay, you asked us for advice, here's what we think, and like you're wise, smart people, and like you said, had you not, we wouldn't have let you get married if we didn't think you could handle it. So you have to take your hands off, and it's almost just like teaching your kid how to ride a bike. Like at some point you literally just have to take your hands off and say, okay, you might fall down, but you're going to get up and go again, and life's going to keep going. I mean, marriage is like that. Like you're going to have ups and downs, and you just figure it out as you go.
Mama is no longer the immediate caretaker of your son. It is now his wife who is the number one go-to for taking care of and problem solving, and just really building a life and working through that together is someone that his wife needs to go through. And I feel like sometimes a lot of mother-in-laws don't trust that their son's wife can take that role. They kind of want to take it back instead of just giving them the new role and letting them have their new place.
Yeah, very true.
Third bullet point, be relatable wife to wife. It's different hearing advice from your mother-in-law relating it, oh, well, when my son was younger and he did this, I know that he likes it done this way. And that just comes off differently than, I know what you're talking about. Me and Stan went through something similar. Let me talk to you about how we handled that as a couple. Just relating things as a similar wife-to-wife position instead of as a from your husband's mom, from your, what are you trying to say?
Yeah, just instead of the stance of like, I'm his mother, so let me tell you how he should be taken care of because I, took care of him for 20-something years. I guess that's kind of what you're saying. So I think it goes back to what I was just saying a while ago, is that our relationship has changed because now we're kind of like in the same season of life. Even though I've been married for 23 years and y'all have only been married for 2 years, like we are still wives and our marriages are very important to us. And so it's like I can speak to you now and hopefully you can speak to me wife to wife, not my husband's mom to adopt, to a young woman. Does that make sense? Yeah.
It like almost puts you on the same level relating it wife to wife, which I feel like comes across better when you're trying to build a relationship, is when you're on, it's that sense of relatability that you get.
Yeah. And I think sometimes just talking, when you need to vent to someone, or when, like you said a while ago, when we're looking for guidance or advice or suggestions, I think too, sometimes I don't always just want to hear like, well, you should do this and this is the right thing to do. I kind of want to hear your thought process, like what have you experienced? Like what experiences have you gone through to get you to where you believe and what your thought process is now. And so like you said, instead of me just telling Rainey, well, you should do it this way, just like, what, that makes a lot of sense because Stan and I used to struggle with that. Here's what I did and it seemed to work, and maybe it's something new. Maybe it's like, a new concept or just a new way of thinking about things. And so it's just a different way of communication. I feel like it boils down to.
This actually never tells me, I would do this, have you tried doing this? A lot of it is genuinely asking what I thought about something, what I think about this idea, and relates things to her present life, which I feel like is also on the same wife to wife thing, is she doesn't relate everything to the past and past feelings and past situations, but she brings in her current feelings, her current situations. And I think that builds a relationship of friendship too in our relationship that we have. If you're friends with somebody, you don't want to hear all about their past. Like, you're building a relationship with a friend now, you want to hear about their current feelings, what they're currently going through. And so I feel like that's another part of it is asking genuine questions instead of throwing out suggestions, asking genuinely a thought process, and then also being very intentional about having your current feelings and current things involved.
Yeah, very good. Before we go on to point number 4, I'm just really impressed with how well we're doing on this vlog.
We have not gotten that
Normally,
sidetracked.
we chit chat in between every take, and this would normally take us 2 hours. We have only been talking for like 20 minutes.
We killing it.
And Rainey, like the first time we ever did a sit-down vlog together, she was so awkward in front of the camera, as is most people. I mean, nobody really loves to be in front of a camera, but editing her was very challenging. But look at you now. You're like just putting it out
complete
there.
sentences.
Yeah, she's like me. Like, we've got the thought up here, but like spitting it out is challenging at times, and then we stop mid-sentence, and then we move on to something else. You're doing very good. Very impressed. You need to have your own YouTube channel.
Oh, you're going to be disappointed in my inconsistency.
I'm just joking. Okay, so the 4th bullet point and the last one is to remain neutral. And was this one my idea? Did I bring this one up? I think I did, because, so I'll start it off since it was like,
Since it
was my idea, and this is my channel, I'm going to talk first. Okay. Remaining neutral. So I do feel like I have done this well in this relationship. And look, and just because all these things have worked so well for Rainey and I doesn't mean that with my other kids' spouses, doesn't mean that it's always going to work just like it has with Rainey. But I'm hoping that we can take some of these big nuggets that we have learned and implement them into all those relationships that eventually will be happening, because our kiddos are going to get married and have us lots of grandbabies. But remaining neutral. So Addison and I, and Addison and Stan, like, we all have a very good open relationship where we can talk about all sorts of things, and it's the same thing with you. She's very open with us. We're very open with her. Just a very easy line of communication. It really has always been. But I feel like it's that way because if Rainey comes to me and just kind of, again, wife to wife, she wants to kind of vent and say, we're having this challenge here, what do you suggest? Or I just need someone to vent to for just a moment. Learning how to be very neutral and not getting very protective of, oh, she's aggravated at my son because blah, 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 blah. Well, I'm going to take my son's side because he's my baby, right? So learning how to really listen to both sides of what's going on, acknowledging everything that's going on, and then if they're asking for guidance or suggestion, you do that. Because when you can remain neutral, what you're really saying is that you're for your marriage, because that's what you're doing. Like, you're not for your son, and you're not for your daughter, and you're not taking sides for your son or for your daughter-in-law. Like, you're for their marriage, and you want to cheer them on in their marriage and help them through the challenging times, and you can't do that if you're taking sides all the time. So I think it's very, very important to remain neutral and just looking at it in, different views, different ways, is really, really important.
I feel like Miss Ashley remaining neutral has been really helpful in building our relationship because I can trust to go to her for things. When in marriage, obviously you learn the worst of somebody. Addison has definitely learned the worst of me. I've learned the worst of me in marriage. And so there are things that I just get really irritated about with Addison as he does with me. And so to go to somebody, I don't want to go to somebody that doesn't love Addison unconditionally, or I know is going to pick my side and think badly of my husband, because he's an amazing and wonderful man. But sometimes I just need to vent. And so to have Miss Ashley neutral is someone that I know I can go to, that is gonna be there and be for our marriage, because when you get married, the Bible says that you are one, and so you don't need somebody trying to separate that one, somebody pinning you against your husband. You want somebody that's for both of you. And so being neutral has just been great, because I can go and vent to Miss Ashley, someone that loves Addison unconditionally and knows that I am venting and I am not downing my husband, and I am not saying he's horrible. I am saying that I need guidance in this area, because honestly, if I'm venting, I've probably done something wrong there too. And so I need someone that loves me too, and that can tell me and guide me through all just the seasons of life young marriage brings.
Yeah. And old marriage. Old marriages. We all have it. I mean, it doesn't matter if you've been married for 2 years or 65 years. I mean, there's always challenges, always ups and downs. So those are the 4 points that we came up with. Obviously, we could literally sit and talk here for hours, because there are so many other areas of this that we could go into, but we felt like those were the 4 points that really matter the most to us and that we feel like are very valuable. Now, we do understand that some relationships just come easier than others. We have been intentional. We have done things that are going to promote a good, healthy relationship. But it's relatively easy. And we understand that a lot of people who are watching this are sitting there thinking like, yeah, well, that's good for you, but you don't know what my mother-in-law has been doing. And, or maybe a mother-in-law is sitting there and saying, but you don't know the hell that my daughter-in-law has been putting my my son through and our family through. And so, I don't know. What do you think about that? Like, what are your words of wisdom for people who have to really work at the mother-in-law, daughter-in-law dynamics and relationships?
I feel like it's with anything. It's in friendships, you're obviously not best friends with absolutely everybody. There are certain people that you gravitate to more than you gravitate to others, and in a daughter-in-law or a mother-in-law, you don't just get to pick that. You don't get to pick who you're close to and who you're family to. So some relationships are just harder, and no matter how much you work at them, they're just not what you want it to be, and I think that's okay too.
Yeah.
If you got stuck with a relationship that's just not what you want it to be, that's okay. That doesn't mean that you don't have to work at it, or you don't get the opportunity to work at it. I think there are some things to keep in mind when, certain efforts to keep in mind when you have a more difficult relationship. And honestly, some relationships you may be totally different personalities, or like we're both Christians, we both have the same values in life. If your mother or daughter-in-law has completely different views, completely different values, it would be a little bit more of a struggle, and a lot of our conversations we have probably would not happen or go as smoothly. So some things to do, one of the not to have a set idea of this absolutely has to be, but simply putting your best foot forward and making sure that you're trying. And
well, and I think at the end of the day, you're only in charge of your actions. You can't control other people. You can't control how they're going to live, or how they're going to respond to maybe an act of kindness that you did because you're trying to make amends, or you're only in control of what effort you're putting forth. And so I think, if things are not going as you wish they were, or how you have dreamed that your mother-in-law, daughter-in-law relationship would look like, you might just have to come to grips that the reality of what it's going to look like is much different than when you thought. It doesn't mean that you can't still create a reality and a relationship that is based on friendship on some level, respect, and just finding ways to honor your mother-in-law by taking good care of her son. I mean, that means a lot to me when I see, I'm gonna cry again, when I see Rainey going out of her way and maybe doing things that are not super comfortable for her. It's stretching her out of her comfort zone, but she's doing things because she sees that my son, Addison, her husband, needs that or wants that or whatever it may be. So to see that she doesn't realize that she's honoring me by taking such good care of Addison's. So now Brantley is asleep, but I don't know if you can hear Isabel is back in my room laughing it up.
She's so
cute. She's so cute. She was a good girl while we did this. And we tackled this in, I don't know, what was it, 35 minutes?
We killed it.
We killed it on that one. Yes. But anyways, thank y'all for joining. I hope that y'all enjoyed this topic of conversation. Share it with others if you feel like anyone in your little circle of life could benefit from it. I know that relationships are very important to myself. Relationships are very important to Rainey. And so, it just takes work and effort to make any relationship work. Okay, I literally was closing out the vlog. I had about 3 sentences left and my camera battery died and I'm too lazy to go put in a new one. So we've got it on my iPhone right now. But we're going to close it out here. I hope y'all enjoyed today's vlog. And if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and do that now. And we'll see you next time. Bye.